Hello and welcome. It is Thursday, October the 17th, and this is the Greenbrier Valley Church of the Nazarene with your daily devotion. We are continuing in the book of Esther. We are continuing in chapter 2. We will pick up where we left off yesterday. We will be looking at verses 12 through 23. Here's the word of the Lord. Before a young woman's turn came to go to King Xerxes, she had to complete 12 months of beauty treatments prescribed for the women, 6 months with oil and myrrh, and 6 months with perfumes and cosmetics. And this is how she would go to the king. Anything she wanted was given her to take with her from the harem to the king's palace. In the evening, she would go there, and in the morning return to another part of the harem to the care of Sashkaraz, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the concubines. She would not return to the king unless he was pleased with her and summoned her by name. When the turn came for Esther, the young woman Mordecai had adopted, the daughter of his uncle Abihail, to go to the king, she asked for nothing other than what Hegai, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the harem, suggested. And Esther won the favor of everyone who saw her. She was taken to King Xerxes in the royal residence in the 10th month, the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Now the king was attracted to Esther more than to any of the other women, and she won his favor and approval more than any of the other virgins. So he set a royal crown on her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king gave a great banquet, Esther's banquet, for all his nobles and officials. He proclaimed a holiday throughout the provinces and distributed gifts with royal liberality. When the virgins were assembled a second time, Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate. But Esther had kept secret her family background and nationality, just as Mordecai had told her to do, for she continued to follow Mordecai's instructions as he had done when he was bringing her up. During the time Mordecai was sitting at the king's gate, Begathanna and Teresh, two of the king's officers who guarded the doorway, became angry and conspired to assassinate King Xerxes. But Mordecai found out about the plot and told Queen Esther, who in turn reported it to the king, giving credit to Mordecai. And when the report was investigated and found to be true, the two officials were impaled on poles. All this was recorded in the book of the annals in the presence of the king. And that is the word of the Lord. Our article today is titled Changing the World by Joanne Slade. Here's what Joanne has to say for us today. While the thought of a beautiful young woman being invited to the king's harem may sound intriguing, it's likely it was frightening as well. Aware of the court gossip, the women knew what had happened to Vashti and knew their future depended on the whims of the king. Adding to Esther's possible apprehension was that her Jewish background was kept from the king. As the story unfolds, the narrator hints at Esther's popularity, saying, Esther won the favor of everybody who saw her. Then, against all odds, Esther was chosen to replace Vashti. As her story continues in the remainder of the book, it is clear that Esther gained Xerxes' trust and ultimately was able to use her position to save the Hebrew people. We too can use our abilities and giftedness to change the world we live in. We too can make plans and determine the best way to carry them out. As Greta Thunberg, the young environmentalist activist, says, no one is too small to make a difference. Malaya Yousafzai, the Pakistani educational activist, agrees. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change the world. A young Hebrew woman shows us the way. All the Way My Savior Leads Me by Fanny J. Crosby is our hymn for today. All the way my Savior leads me. What have I to ask beside? Can I doubt his tender mercies, who through life has been my guide. And from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 16, verse 15, he said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." And this is your daily devotion for Thursday, October the 17th. Have a blessed day.